Technical difficulties, we're getting there. Okay, welcome everybody. My name's Chef Saba and we're here live at Yale Appliance in Framingham. And today we're doing a demonstration on my favorite appliance, the steam oven. And we're going to do a seafood style New England clam bake. Or clam bake that's more of a clam steam because we're using our steam ovens today. Lobster will cook in 10 minutes. So will the mussels and clams. The other ingredients we're going to sort of layer as you would do in a clam boil. I'll also talk about how you can do grains in the steam oven and vegetables as well. All of these have extremely good nutritional benefits when it comes to cooking with steam. And I can't talk about the steam oven enough. It's just one of my favorite appliances, and it really does make your life a whole lot easier. So let's start with our first ingredients, part of a clam bake or a clam boil style meal. Are potatoes, and potatoes will take a little longer to cook. They're a little starchier, a little denser. So I'm going to start with those. And instead of building the layers in like a stock pot, if you were doing a clam boil, we're going to layer them on a flat sheet tray. This is a standard size sheet tray that comes with most steam ovens. So this is perfect for this style of dish. So I'm going to put some fresh herbs, some tarragon, and some thyme on the bottom. And any aromatics will really work. I just think these complement seafood really well. So, but definitely if you're doing other types of seafood or chicken, you can definitely use like rosemary or fennel. Chicken steams really beautifully as well. So there's no limits to really what you can steam, except when it comes to like red meat or gamey meat. If you are going to use the steam oven for something like that, I would recommend using the sous vide style method, which would mean that you have to put it into a vacuum sealed bag and then set the steam oven to your desired internal temperature. So what I'm doing here, I'm just seasoning my red bliss potatoes with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to put a couple of cubes of butter because we know butter makes everything better, of course. And then this is going to go into the steam oven for around 10 to 15 minutes to begin with. But this will give us a good opportunity to talk about the other things that we're going to do today as well. So this steam oven is set to the standard default temperature of 212 degrees. Most steam ovens will cap out at 212 or 210, and that's only on steam mode. So remember, when you open the steam oven door, there will be a big plume of steam that comes out. So you want to either step to the side or step a little further back. Place it in, and we'll set our timer here for 15 minutes, just to be safe. We really want those potatoes to tenderize and cook well. All right, so after those come out, we will go ahead and put our sausage, our corn on the cob, our cleaned mussels and clams. Those will all go into that same sheet tray with the potatoes, and then separately I'm going to put in the live lobster as well. So the reason you want to steam things like lobsters and mussels and clams is the steam is a lot gentler and will handle that protein a lot better. Imagine if you're putting your proteins, putting your lobsters, putting your shrimp, putting anything into aggressive boiling water. It's really going to impact the texture. It's aggressive, it's harder, it's going to tighten it up. So you're going to have a tougher texture, and you're also leaching out a lot of the flavor. A lot of the flavor goes straight into the water. So you have compromised texture and compromised flavor when you're boiling or blanching. With steam, you're gently cooking it, so you're gently raising the temperature and cooking it. All the nutrients, all the natural flavors and fats stay in the protein, and your end result is much juicier, a better texture, and more nutrition as well. You're not losing any nutrition into the water. So that's why I always recommend steaming. when it comes to seafood, when it comes to vegetables. I'm also going to steam some asparagus for you today. This I totally geek out about, and I don't know why it makes me so happy to steam asparagus, but when I put it in the steam oven, my results are incredible every single time. And anytime I've used a boiler or a steamer basket, I end up getting quite stringy or watery asparagus. So with the steam oven, it's always perfect. So if you do have any questions or comments, definitely leave them in our Facebook page and we'll be able to address them as well. Do we have any comments coming in? All right, not yet. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to send them in and send them to our Facebook page and we'll be able to answer them live. All right, so I talked about asparagus, and the other incredible thing that you can steam are grains. Now, this is something that you might find boring or mundane, but to me, when I'm making things like rice or Israeli couscous or quinoa on the stovetop, it has the tendency to be, to burn if you're not tending to it. With the steam oven, it's really forgiving, so you can actually leave it in there even for a couple of extra minutes, and you won't harm it, you won't overcook it, you won't scorch it or burn it, especially when it comes to things like quinoa and rice. So I definitely recommend that. When you're steaming grains, most grains will steam with a 1-to-1 ratio. So this was about a half a cup of Israeli couscous. So I will use half a cup of water and just pour that on top. And you can also add aromatics at this point. If you wanted to add a clove of garlic, you could do so. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil for flavor and some salt and pepper. And maybe a sprig of thyme. Why not? And you can also add spices. I oftentimes add a little turmeric to my Israeli couscous just to give it a nice rounder flavor, and it gives it a beautiful bright color as well. So that's always a great idea. When you're steaming your vegetables, I didn't mention this, but you don't have to add any fats. You don't have to add any oil. You don't have to add any butter. It will cook beautifully without that. You can add it for flavor, of course. Like I said, butter makes it better. But if you just wanted to do a little salt and pepper, you could do so, and you'll still get incredible results. So those are just two different things that you can add on to your list of what the steam oven can do. We talked about the benefits of steam. It really does retain the nutritive value of your food. So if you like to cook healthier, if you enjoy the taste of your vegetables, steam is going to be the way to go. I talked about the straight steam, so vegetables, grains, seafood, sous vide capabilities. But you can also use combination modes like convection steam, which uses dry heat with steam. And that's great for casserole style dishes. Say you were making a lasagna and the little edges start to burn and dry out. The convection steam will prevent that from happening. So that is one example. Also, leaner proteins like your chicken breasts, which might dry out in a regular oven, adding that steam with the convection will help keep them nice and juicy. There's so much you can do with convection steam. Bread also bakes beautifully. You'll get beautiful crusts if you do fresh baked bread as well. So that's your combination, and then you also can do straight convection. You can use steam ovens as smaller regular ovens as well. So they preheat a lot faster, and again, if you didn't want to preheat a regular oven, which takes about 15 to 20 minutes, you could preheat your steam oven in just a matter of minutes and use the regular convection to do everything from baking cookies to making banana bread. So lots of variety. If you ever have done a bain-marie in your oven and made custards or anything delicate that was egg-based, again, you can do the same thing with your steam. You omit the water bath completely, and you can use the steam to cook those gentle custards, and it's a lot less messy. It really is incredible. So I think we have a question coming in. What's everyone asking?
What temperature and steam oven mode are you using for the lobsters and the clambake?
Excellent question. So the temperature that I'm using is the default temperature of 212 degrees. It depends on which brand of oven you have. Some are 210 or some are 212. So that's the maximum that you can go on straight steam mode. So we're just going to use the maximum default temperature. When you turn your oven on, that's the temperature that it's going to be set at. So nothing really to program or think about. Very good question. All right, so let's just check our time here. We have a couple of minutes. Oh, I think I set the wrong timer. That's okay. I think it's been about, let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and reprogram that. That was my bad. All right, cool. So a couple more minutes there. We're good. So, all right. Next up is, what are we gonna cover next? Oh yes, we talked about types of seafood. We have our shelled fish here, our bivalves. You can do salmon beautifully in the steam oven as well. I have done so many different types of salmon. Again, with something like that, if you have a flat pan, you can put some aromatics down on the bottom, some sliced fennel, some onion. You could put some white wine, fresh herbs, maybe some citrus as well, and that will really infuse the salmon with all that flavor, and you get really, really healthy, delicious results. I actually use the steam oven a lot at home now. I have a 1-year-old, and ever since she started eating solid foods, I was able to use the steam oven to prepare those foods. So steaming the fish or the vegetables and the grains is seamless. So I really enjoy using it, especially to prepare meals for her. Can't recommend it enough. So I guess what we're going to do now, let's go ahead and put our lobsters in the steam oven. So these are going to go in. We're not going to season them or anything. They're just going to go straight in like you would if you were putting them into a stock pot of boiling water. And we're going to, once they're done, we can remove them and then we'll slice them and add them into our clam bake boil style meal. So we'll just bring these over. I'm just going to step to the side and open up the oven just slightly like so. And in they go. There we go. And we will shut the oven there and set the timer. I don't know what I did with my timer here. We'll just gauge the time. I'll set my timer over here instead. All right. Sorry guys. Let's set that. And you know what I forgot to bring? Was oven mitts and towels. So they are in the top drawer, in front of the Sub-Zero in that kitchen. Yep. All right. So just a moment. We are grabbing some oven mitts. All right. In the meantime, I'm going to slice up the sausage that's going to go into our clam bake style dish. You can use any sausage. I got, this is like a Cajun style one, so it adds a little peppery flavor and nice amount of fat as well. So, and then with this, you can definitely get creative. It's just adding a little depth of flavor and it just rounds it out a little bit. So I'm gonna take the potatoes out. There we go. Oops. All right. And now we will add our sausages here. And with, in terms of quantity, it really depends on how many people you're preparing this meal for. So you can add as much or as little as you like. So I'm gonna just add our corn in. All right. This is gonna look really, really pretty. Can't wait to see the final results. All right, and then I'm gonna add in some white wine as well. So the wine will need a little bit of time to reduce, so just make sure that you have allocated enough time for that. And then let's add in our clams and mussels as well. And then I'll add a couple more pats of butter at the end as well. All right, any questions, guys? We're all good with the questions? So far, so good. And remember, when you're preparing anything like the bivalves that you see here, make sure you rinse them thoroughly. They tend to hold on to a lot of sand, and they do have beards. The mussels do have something called beards, so you do have to scrub them down and clean them thoroughly, because you are going to be eating them straight out of the tray once they're cooked. So you definitely want to keep them nice and clean. All right, look at how awesome this looks. So lots of yummy seafood. And this is gonna go into the steam oven now. So, oh, let's add a couple more pats of butter too. All right, beautiful. All right, so I will show you guys a quick close-up here. Brad, how does that look? Awesome. All right, so this is going in. All right, there we go. So that should take about 10 minutes. So that went in at the 6-minute mark. All right, so now any questions, please feel free to send them in. I'm happy to answer anything, even if it doesn't have to do with steam ovens. We can talk about convection. I'm using an induction cooktop here too to prepare the drawn butter. So basically this is butter that's clarified, which means all the milk solids have settled on the bottom. So let's see if we can do a nice close-up of that. All the milk solids have separated and settled on the bottom, and this is the traditional way to serve your seafood or your clam bake, as you serve it with a side of the clarified butter. Clarified butter is really, really good for cooking with too. It's used in a lot of South Asian style cooking. So it's great because it doesn't burn. If you've ever tried to cook with butter, you'll quickly learn that the butter burns, and that's because of those milk solids. So when you keep them, when you split them off and just use the clarified part, you have a perfect cooking fat. Doesn't burn, adds a lot of flavor too. So that's our drawn butter there. We'll just put that to the side. And in just a couple minutes, let's see, we have 4 minutes left for our lobster. I'm gonna pop those out, and we'll add in our asparagus and our Israeli couscous. So one thing you have to also remember when you kind of put things in and out of a steam oven is that you will lose some steam when you're opening and closing the door of the steam oven. So it does take a couple minutes for that steam to regenerate. So just keep that in mind, especially depending on the size of your steam oven. If it's a larger steam oven like the one we're using here today, this is a large capacity steam oven. So that means it takes a little bit more time in order for the cavity to fill with steam. If you have a standard size steam oven, which is slightly smaller than that, it will fill much quicker. So you don't have to factor in as much extra time as you would there. But it's not a lot of time. It's just, a couple extra minutes there. So next step. Now, in terms of cleaning your steam oven, you have to always remember that because there's water going through the back and, you know, through the pipes and the lines. You will have to descale it occasionally. If you have to descale, we do recommend buying those descaling solutions in advance, because once your oven notifies you that it has to be descaled, you can only bypass or use it a number of times before it will lock you out. Well, not in every scenario, but in some. So it looks like we have a question.
So there's a question regarding clarified butter.
Yes.
Same as ghee.
It is, absolutely. Clarified butter and ghee are the same thing. So you're removing the milk solids, and what you're left with is the butter, the clarified butter part, and that can be used for cooking. You can use this to flash fry. You can use it for higher temperature cooking. I'm going to just turn that off because it's making a weird sound. We'll just turn that off, yeah, for now anyways. All right, looks like we have another question. What is the question?
How many minutes for the lobster? I think a few people just.
Yes, all right. So if you're tuning in right now, 10 minutes for the lobster. 10 minutes is all you need. It is incredible how quickly you can cook it. And it's going to be super juicy, a lot of flavor. It's really impressive how beautifully the lobster cooks in the steam oven. So we just have a couple minutes left. We're gonna take it out, and then I'll start to plate it up as well. So let me put this one on a low temp. Perfect. So yeah, I actually, up until about a week ago, had only really done lobster tails and sous vide lobster in the steam oven. So I tried the whole lobster out for the first time, and I was so impressed with the results, and so was all the staff here as well, because the flavor of the lobster really was there, and the texture was unbelievable. It's so soft, it's so tender, and it just melts in your mouth. So of course, adding a little butter on top of that always helps, because lobster and butter were a match made in heaven. So, you know, but again, this is the foundation. Once you learn how to do that, you can experiment with various different flavorings, ingredients. But I always recommend, if you're going to put any sort of flavoring into the steam oven, you put it into the dish, never into the water. A lot of people have asked if you can flavor the water that goes into the steam oven, and I definitely would say no to that, because that's going to clog up the lines and you'll damage your appliance that way. All right, I think we have another question.
Yeah, so once again, what brand are you working with today?
That's a very good question. So today we're actually using the Miele. Miele is the larger capacity steam oven. This is the double XL. This is not the standard size steam oven. The standard size one is slightly smaller, but Miele and Thermador make the larger capacity steam ovens. The Thermador is the largest, but the Miele is, you can get it in a plumbed and a non-plumbed version. So you have a couple of options, whereas the Thermador, although it's the largest capacity, you can only do the non-plumbed version for that. The good thing about the Miele and the Gaggenau is that those two have drains as well. So when you have an accumulation of water, you don't have to worry about it collecting on the bottom. All right, so that was our 10-minute mark. Let's cancel that, and then I'm just going to put 4 minutes for the rest of our seafood. Okay, so I'm going to pop my lobsters out. All right, look at those beauties. And I'm going to put my couscous and asparagus back in. And I'm going to do a close-up here so you guys can see the beautiful bright color. Oh, this looks awesome. Beautiful. All right, so that is our steamed lobster. So I'm just going to give them a couple minutes to cool off before I handle them, and we will use them in our gorgeous clam bake, clam boil style meal. Any other questions coming in? All right, we're good for now. So again, lobster, Really simple. Instead of boiling it, steaming it is going to really enhance the flavor. And look how easy that is. All you have to clean is this pan, and it's actually cool to touch already. The steam is so gentle that it just sort of dissipates, so you don't have to worry about it sort of scorching or burning anything, whereas a stock pot of boiling water is extremely hot and dangerous in the kitchen, to be honest. So super gentle. You can, again, matter of minutes that comes together. The steam oven doesn't take a long time to preheat, so you're also benefiting from efficiency in the kitchen. You don't have to wait very long for it to get to temperature. 10 minutes in the steam oven, and you have your lobster meal ready to go. You have clarified butter there as well, and then of course the rest of the ingredients will just be a few more minutes. So the Israeli couscous that we just put in, the grain, that will actually take a few more minutes. That you would just use the recommended cooking time on the package that it came in. Usually for something like that, it's 10 to 12 minutes. And asparagus, depending on the thickness, that is a little bit thinner, so 4 minutes is perfect for that. And I think we have another question coming in.
Can we just go over again how you prep the lobster at the beginning for the people who just joined us?
Okay, for the people that just joined us, we prepared our lobster simply. We took the lobster, just plopped them on the tray and placed them in the oven. I did not add any seasoning to it. What we're going to do is we're going to add it once our clam bake style meal comes out. We're going to add it to that, so you'll have all the beautiful juices and the butter and everything in there. If you wanted to add more flavor to the lobster, I would suggest then breaking it down before you put it into the steam oven, like breaking down the tail and the claws, and then you could baste it and put some white wine and herbs and butter in with it and cook it that way. Or you could do it sous vide style, where you put the lobster tails and the claws into a vacuum sealed bag with the butter and the herbs, and that will really infuse the flavor. But in terms of what we did today, this was simply steamed as is. 10 minutes as is, out, and then we're gonna, I'm going to break it down and place it into the clam bake style meal with all the other ingredients. So I think this should be pretty cool to touch at this point. Yeah, those are looking good. Perfect. So a couple more minutes, and those, the rest of the ingredients I'm gonna pop right out, and then we'll assemble our dish. All right. Perfect. Let's put turn our timer off. And I'm gonna put another timer for the Israeli couscous as well. All right, so let's pop our asparagus out. I'm gonna show you guys that beautiful vibrant color in just a minute. And our clam bake meal here as well. All right, so let's start with our asparagus. Look how gorgeous and bright and green that is. Lovely color, and there will be a crunch too when we eat it. So I don't know if I can show you that, but that's snapped just like that, and you can definitely still taste the flavor of the asparagus, lightly seasoned. Again, you could put some olive oil or butter on that after, or some Parmesan cheese, whatever you're going to be using it for. All right, now I'm going to show you the clam bake as well. So here we go. See, the mussels have opened up. The corn looks fantastic. The sausages are definitely infusing the flavor. The potatoes should be nice and tender as well. It's a little heavy. So I'm just going to put that there. I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning because I don't think I seasoned the corn before that went in. All right, beautiful. And I'll add a little bit of pepper as well. And we're just going to let this sit in all that delicious liquor. It's called this, the mussel and clam liquor. We'll let that sit in there. Oh, you can do a little squeeze of lemon as well, just to brighten it up at the end. Perfect. And now I'm going to transfer this to my serving platter. All right, any other questions coming in? We're good for now. All right, perfect. So when you're breaking down a lobster, it does get a little messy. So always make sure you have paper towels nearby, or you have a sink. A sink is always helpful too. All right, so, and please, if you you find it disturbing, don't watch as well. I completely understand. All right, so we'll get rid of the body, but if you wanted to use the lobster shells for like a broth or something, you could hold on to those and make a really nice lobster broth after as well. All right, so now what I'm going to do is cut down the lobster tail and just kind of split that in half, and there we have it. Beautifully cooked, tender lobster tail. Excellent. All right, so we'll just put that on our platter and get rid of that stuff. Again, definitely utilize all the parts and pieces of your lobster. The shells will make a beautiful broth. You can make lobster stock or a lobster bisque as well. So one thing I do not have here, which I need to buy, is lobster crackers. So I will have to invest in some of those. But I do have a mallet, which I'm going to grab in just a couple minutes, but I'll just show you how to break down some of this as well. So just kind of push out the little bits of the meat there. And yeah, I don't have my crackers here, unfortunately. So we're just gonna wing it. But the crackers definitely help. I am just going to use my chefy skills and break it down that way. All right, like I said, it does get pretty messy. There's a lot of water that does retain inside the lobster, so make sure you keep your work surface nice and tidy. I'm gonna just make sure none of this lobster juice flies everywhere. All right, there we go. All right, any other questions coming in? Anything else that we can talk to you about seafood in steam ovens? Looks like we have one question.
Can you just go over again how you prepared the clams?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did for the clam bake, sorry about that. For our clam bake here, what I did was I started with the tray, the flat tray here, and into this tray, first I placed the potatoes and the herbs, so the thyme and the tarragon and shallots, and I cooked that with the white wine for about 10 minutes. And then I removed that from the oven. I added in the corn, the sausage, the clams, and the mussels, and I put that back in for another 10 minutes. And then I pulled it out, and I've just been allowing that to rest. So once I get everything onto the platter, yeah, you'll see it all sort of come together. So, all right, and that is my timer for the couscous. All right, another question?
Yeah, so are perforated trays ever used in steam ovens? If so, how is the runoff liquid disposed, and if the ovens aren't plumbed?
All right, excellent question. So the question was, are perforated trays ever used in the steam oven? Yes, I actually used a perf tray here for my asparagus. I'll show you that right now. So see that? It was a perforated tray. I used this because I did not want the asparagus to sit in a pool of liquid, which ends up making it sort of soggy and wilts it. So perf trays are great for things like vegetables. Now, If you use a perf tray, yes, you'll obviously have liquid and moisture that does, you know, drip to the bottom of the oven. So in that scenario, what I recommend is if you have a Miele, you're good because you have a drain that will take care of the water. If you have a Wolf or a Thermador or a Genair or what else? Who else doesn't have a drain? The Bosch. Those actually, you will have to manually wipe them out, or you can turn the convection system on and you can dry it out that way as well. So those are a couple of options for you. But always remember, you will have to descale them as well. All right, we have another question coming in.
Is 10 minutes the standard time for cooking a lobster, or does it depend on the size?
That's a very good question. The question was, is 10 minutes the standard size, standard time, or does it vary depending on size? Size definitely will play a role in timing when you're cooking anything. So 10 minutes this is an average size lobster, so that was perfect for what we had here today. If you have, by chance, a like 3 or 5 pound lobster, yes, it's going to take a little bit longer. So I would say these are your standard size, so about, I would say less than a pound really. So 10 minutes was fine for that. If it was an extremely large lobster, then I would double the time. I would double it, definitely. All right, any other questions coming in? All right, I think we're good. So I'm just going to finish plating up here. It's going to take me a couple minutes. Oh, I have to take my Israeli couscous out as well. All right, let me just put some of these herbs in here. I think my potato might need a couple more minutes, so let me just check that. I could use a couple more minutes, so I'll pop the potatoes back in. All right, and I'll take my couscous out. There we go, and we'll just give this a couple minutes. All right, and I just want to show you the Israeli couscous here. Let's see if I have a spoon. I forgot a spoon. We'll use a fork. Okay, so see, all the moisture was absorbed and it's plumped up and cooked, and that is really all you need to do for your grains. The same results will fare with rice. Rice is so easy to make in the steam oven. So here we have our Israeli couscous, nice and plump. No water was left behind because everything was absorbed straight into the couscous, and it cooks perfectly. And that's it. It absorbs a lot of the flavor, so definitely add aromatics into the water that it's cooking in. Tastes incredible. All right, great. So I'm just gonna finish plating up our lobster, and feel free to keep those questions coming in. We are definitely gonna have a feast here today, and it took a matter of minutes. That's the best part about this, is it's a very minimal prep, but you get such incredible results. I mean, it looks like you slaved away hours all day long to prepare this feast. So I love steam ovens, and I love the fact that you can make a meal like this in a matter of minutes. It's pretty incredible. All right, so I'm just gonna break the rest of this down, and feel free if you have any questions or you have any concerns, let me know. Steam ovens, again, when they are installed, if you use a non-plumbed version, you have a lot more flexibility as to where it can be installed. If you need a plumbed version, you do need to be near a water line. So those are things to factor in as well. Also, the non-plumbed versions are a little bit less maintenance. Just thinking ahead, if there were any maintenance issues, obviously, with the plumbing, then it's a lot easier to deal with if it's not hooked up to anything. But with the plumbed version, you never have to worry about refilling the tank. You have a continuous water line that goes to your steam oven, so you don't have to worry about constantly refilling. Although I worked with all the steam ovens, and when you do have a tanked version, it's not such a big deal to fill up the water tank. It's actually pretty quick and easy. So I don't think it shouldn't impair your decision, basically. All right, so just break off the tail here. Oh, we got some roe in that one. There we go. All right, and again, if this is disturbing to anybody, look away. But lobster does break down pretty quickly and easily. And I would definitely save the shells for a stock or a bisque, because you're going to get such great flavor out of it. Okay, excellent. So it looks like we're just about winding down here. I'm just going to pop the other lobster shells out, and then we will serve our lobster shells, lobster tails, I meant to say, and we'll serve our lobster feast. And remember, we're doing this all week long. We have all of the different topics we're covering this week are going to be posted on our Facebook page, so make sure you catch us live every day. We're doing something different. I'm doing a session tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And Steve, our CEO, will be covering a session on Thursday and Wednesday, I believe, as well. So we have a lot of great information here that we're happy to share, and will help you in your kitchen journey and helping you choose your appliances. It's there's a lot of choice out there, so we just want to make sure we help you make those right decisions. All right, so I think we are almost done. Let me put some finishing touches here. All right. All right, looks like we have another question coming in.
Were the lobsters cleaned before you cooked them?
Yes, they were rinsed. Mm-hmm. Yep, so you buy them from the supermarket, give them a little rinse, and just place them right onto the steamer platter. And that's it, easy peasy. Easy peasy. All right, I am going to just place the claws on here. This is more for decorative purposes. And I don't have time to do all of that right now. I'll do it in a couple minutes. But I want to show you guys how gorgeous of a platter you can get in no time at all. And, all right, perfect. So we have our lobster claws. Beautiful. Let's get that out of the way. I have some of my asparagus. I'm actually going to put some asparagus down on here as well. All right. Just for a little color. All right. We are cranking, guys. I know asparagus is not a traditional part of a clam bake or a clam boil, but I like to change things up. And, why not? Here we go. We like our veggies around here. Okay, so let's check on our potatoes. These look great. All right, and all that delicious broth is in there as well, so that's going to definitely add a lot more flavor here to our final dish. Okay. And you don't have to add all of it. You can put some of that broth on the side, so people can add it to their liking. So the potatoes have definitely absorbed a lot of that flavor, but you can add in a little bit extra as well. Here we go. Whew, these are hot. All right, I just want something to present, so I won't do all of this, but you'll get the idea. All right, and then, you know what, just because we have it here, let's put a little sprinkle of the Israeli couscous because it'll look pretty. It's like our little garnish. All right. Oh my God, I hope everyone here is hungry because this is a feast. All right, so let's put that to the side, and then I'm just gonna do a little drizzle of butter on here as well. Don't judge. All right, beautiful. And then we have some drawn butter for everybody else as well. And I'm just gonna wipe my plate. And we are ready to go. We have a lobster feast. All right, there we go. A beautiful New England style clam bake with lobster, done in the steam oven. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. We're also going live tomorrow where I'll be doing 30-minute meals on induction, and we'll do 2 over the course of an hour. We're going to do a steak and a pasta meal, so definitely want to tune in for that. Feel free to send in questions. We're happy to answer them, even if you didn't get a chance to catch today's demonstration. I'm happy to talk about steaming lobsters any time of day. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you here again all week long. All right, take care, guys. Bye.